And again, good afternoon, everyone. We have some exciting stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about how you can be socially helpful, how you can inject value into your online strategy. And we had some quick chatter before we went ahead and officially got started about everyone excited about USA progressing to the next phase of this crazy tournament that's going on. Really, we're excited that no one was bit during during the last game, which was great. Thank you, Becky, for sharing. Melanie had a quick question about the hashtag. So since we're on that topic, we'll go ahead and share the hashtag with you, and it's RE Social Chat. And not only are we looking for your engagement and your participation on this chat, we're also looking for, guess what, a winner. So anyone that's using this hashtag could be randomly selected to win this great prize of 20 big ones, right? I mean, it doesn't hurt to take that home with you at the end of the work week, right? So we are so excited to jump off this June call in this RE social chat with the opportunity for you to win $20. So we're talking about making your content and marketing approach less about you and more about your clients and your residents and your prospects. And the best way to know kind of what type of content they want is by providing great customer service and implementing your social listening tools to highlight needs that should be met. So we're also going to talk about customer service in this, the evolution of customer service. Next, we'll cover and how you can seek out your customer needs. We'll dive into how big brands are filling the void online. And these ways are sharing apps and kind of really to make everyday life a little bit easier. And then as always, I'm going to end with some food for thought, and I'm going to welcome your questions really at any time. As you can see, I can see your questions come in real time. So feel free to, reach out to me via the questions box. Even if you have something to share, it doesn't have to necessarily be a question. I can see that content come in real time. So I read a really great article on PricewaterhouseCoopers the other day that said company leaders have realized that getting closer to the customer is crucial to growth. I mean, amen to that, right? We all totally are on board with how it's a little bit harder to get a hold of qualified leads and people that are really going to be loyal fan base and customer base. But both business buyers and consumers have more choices than ever before. We're empowered by online and mobile channels that provide more ways to buy. It's going to give more recommendations and more suggestions. And these online assets are going to talk back to companies so that we're creating more of a two-way conversation, excuse me, as opposed to a one-way conversation. So today's customer is not going to hesitate to walk away from an established company relationship that doesn't meet their needs. And it's heartbreaking to think about that. You know, this customer could have been with your company for years. And guys, let me know if you can hear me. I just got a prompt that said my audio was out. So just let me know if you can't hear me, and I'll be happy to jump back. But it's telling me I'm good to go. So just let me know. But again, consumers aren't hesitating to walk away from an established company that doesn't meet their needs. And this holds true really for almost any industry present day. No longer are we limited to those serving consumers. We have to really take up arms and try to win their business all the time. That being said, brand loyalty is significantly harder to keep these days, and we're not getting as much buy-in from potential buyers and renters as we have, since we as brands, we can't deliver and satisfy those needs to find them a place to live. Again, guys, are you able to hear me? I might have to switch over to telephone, which I'm happy to do. This hasn't happened before, so I just want to check and make sure You guys can, okay, great. Thanks, Becky. So this just goes to say that and to show that selling isn't going to cut it anymore either. People on the other side of your pitch, which, we all have that pitch that really tries to reel the customer in, whether we're on the real estate side or the multifamily side. So that client or that prospect who's on the other side of that pitch, they're going to want to hear something that is going directly speak to the need that can be fulfilled. And what you see here is an old sales approach on the left-hand side versus an approach that's centered around the consumer. And just take a look and see how different these pieces of information are. And, to some people, it's so clear about when you create your marketing strategy or outreach or promotional strategy around your target audience, you're much more willing to get the business than you would from an old sales perspective. But sometimes people don't get it, and it's hard to grasp with social these days how different in our approach we have to be when we're talking to an online audience versus an audience from on a different platform. So with the old sales approach, you as the brand are placing yourself first, and you're saying you're the most important party, and that's why your consumer should listen. How crazy is that? This is where your audience gets defensive, and ultimately they're going to shut down because guess what? No one who is in the position to hand over their dollars in the form of a new lease or closing is going to want to sit there and waste their time learning about how important you are over them. So please, take the consumer-centric approach when you are, going to pitch to new clients. Ultimately, when you get out of your own way, I always like to say, get out of your own way in marketing because it's hard to do. But when you get out of your own way and realize that the key to closing deals and signing leases is about the client and not you, you're more likely to close more. How crazy is that? It's not about you and it's not about me. It's about your customer. And that's what's going to keep your business growing over the years, especially with social media. So I came across this graphic on Erica Campbell Byram's Twitter account, and she is always tweeting and retweeting great content that really speaks to the social media audience, which is essentially everyone these days. And this really shares how, the evolution of customer service has kind of evolved from then versus now. So customer needs can be found via stellar customer service. We all know that. Social media has tremendously helped brands create more touch points with consumers than ever before. So before social came into the picture, there was only one option for consumers to engage with the brand, and the process took forever. Look at that. They called, they had to wait, and maybe their issue would get resolved. I mean, when you look at it that way, how willing are you going to be to sit on a phone and wait for your issue to may or may not be resolved, right? Not so much, not this guy. So the reason that social media has completely changed the dynamic of customer service is because now consumers can choose a method that best fits their needs, such as self-service, where they're going through an easy process online, or there's also the option where a consumer can reach out to a community manager, maybe or a brand on their Facebook page or on their Twitter account. Or they might have a question answered via, if they reach out to them via Twitter and they get an answer back via direct message. These are all great new options that social media can offer. Lastly, there's the option where a consumer is creating a hybrid and is engaging with the brand in a variety of ways. Again, all avenues that weren't possible before social came into the picture. Also, before social, customer service could only do so much. I mean, it only stretched so far. So if you take a look at the progression of customer service, you see that it started just via phone. Like, I mean, there was an operator sitting at a desk trying to do the best he or she could. But now we have resources. We've graduated from strictly phone to email to online help to the chat option where you can actually, like I was on Nordstrom just the other day and was able to chat with a customer service person about a certain pair of shoes. I mean, crazy. Also, I was able to actually buy a dress on Nordstrom's Twitter account. So I tweeted them, "Can you find this dress for me?" They told me they found it, and I made the transaction on Twitter. So customer service has completely evolved over time, and now it's gone from a strictly kind of like one-way snail mail level of communication to instant gratification. Nowism. We're wanting to get more and at a faster rate, and customer service can do that. So I just wanted to share some stats that speak to how fed up customers and consumers can be if their needs are not met and they decide to stop being loyal. So it is 6 to 7 times more expensive to gain a new consumer than it is to keep an existing one. And this came from the White House Office of Consumer Affairs. It is 6 to 7 times more expensive to gain a new customer than it is to keep an existing one. Crazy, right? Another cool one is 78% of consumers have abandoned a transaction due to a bad customer service experience. And that's from American Express. Another great stat is unhappy customers are highly likely to be repeat customers, as 89% of customers report having stopped doing business with companies because of bad customer service. Again, it all goes back to customer service and how now customer service is integrating with social media. So essentially, when someone called a hotline or something, they just spoke to that one person. And if their issue wasn't resolved, they might just tell their close friends and family. Well, guess what? With customer service now, there is a forum for this person who might have not had a question answered, to let everyone and their mama literally on social media know. So a great way to inject value into your social strategy is to just make sure that you are answering that call to action where if you get a question, you are able to answer it within a significant time frame. Another cool thing is the majority of online consumers believe social media improves customer service, which is great. I mean, we're really moving in the direction where people are utilizing social platforms to reach out to brands and to help them solve an issue, which is great. And again, can be attributed to a faster turnaround time in response and more opportunities for brands to offer useful information in a real time or a faster amount of time than normal. If you go back to this stat, if we can go back to it really quickly, you see here that between 30 minutes to 24 hours is when consumers expect a brand to respond to them, right? So the largest window of opportunity you have looks like it might be a 24-hour, so a same day, or like 24-hour period. So again, customer service is really based off of immediacy and answering those questions right then and there. So in addition to customer service, social listening is key when you're finding those needs for your consumers so that you can inject more value into the information that you're serving them as well as your social strategy. So go to the places your audience is spending time and talking. You may be surprised to get a referral from a former home buyer, or maybe a current resident who passed your name to a friend because that friend is asking for suggestions on places to live. So again, just kind of hover. I call it social stalking. It's completely acceptable these days. Everyone does it. Smart marketers definitely do it. They really keep an eye and an ear out in the social space, and they're able to find qualified leads that way, where they can actually help people buy and sell homes, or sign leases, or find a place to live via social media, just because they really took time to listen within the social space. When you center your content and your marketing strategies around your consumers, it's most likely that you'll get a heightened sense of what their hot buttons are, which is great. It's amazing, because that gives you the opportunity to better fulfill those needs that are being voiced online. It's hard if you just get kind of, a, a really general idea or perspective on how someone feels. What you want to do is you want to you want to find pieces of information, or social shares that say, I love this, or I wish I could find this, or I hate when. So this is all based on sentiment. Remember, if you've hung out with me even in the last couple of years, I believe it was 2012 or 2013, we hosted a webinar on sentiment analysis, and how when you read tweets and posts on Facebook, and even comments in Instagram, and even comments within Pinterest, you're gauging the sentiment, whether that content or that post or that share, that comment is positive, neutral, or negative. And that's going to help you better create more content that's going to speak directly to that sentiment. So make sure that when you are doing social listening, you're gauging different kind of passions and needs and frustrations and tensions, because that is going to be your golden opportunity to be able to fill in those gaps for that consumer. Okay, so once you've taken those conversations that into mind, and you've collected all of them, take them and collect them in a silo, and silo them by the originating source. Meaning, the originating source might be that sentiment is coming from a blog or a social network, more than likely, or a review site. So it looks like, for the most part, anyone that has worked with a client within the real estate or multifamily space, a client could be a buyer or a seller or a renter. A lot of times they're going to leave their reviews or their responses or their thoughts within a review site or a social network. So make sure you're checking those out more than anything. Another thing that you should do is process that collection of information and spit out answers, and start conversations that speak directly and respond directly to that chatter that's taking place online. So we talked both about Jay Baer and Gary Vaynerchuk last month, but I mean, what they talk about, and kind of what they get on their soapbox and really evangelize on, specifically speaks to today's topic. So I just thought it might be neat to kind of bring them back up, in case any of you guys that weren't able to sit on last month's session haven't heard about them. But they are both really big on sharing content that necessarily doesn't drive value directly to you, but more so indirectly, but in a greater way, if that makes sense. So Jay Baer's thing is all about making yourself utility. And this is really essentially marketing that's so useful, people would actually want to pay for it, believe it or not. And he talks about the difference between helping and selling is just 2 letters. So it shouldn't be that much effort to help more than sell. And actually, the cool thing is, inadvertently, when you're doing more helpful type of marketing, you're going to sell more, which is really great. Another great point that Gary Vaynerchuk has is offer a solution, share information, provide support, then ask for business. So another way of not directly going for the jugular and asking for business, but helping, creating content that's going to provide useful information for your clients or for your audience. And then once they're really engaged, that's your golden opportunity to ask for business. Okie doke. So I hope you guys are on the RE social chat. I, for some reason, am not having very much luck pulling up the Twitter chat on my phone, but it could be because the dog broke it yesterday and it's time to get a new one. So I really hope to see you guys interacting, and I'm going to follow up and circle back after today's chat to make sure that, I answer any questions that were asked on the Twitter chat, which I'm happy to do. So if you are asking questions, please rest assured that I will be following up with you guys on the Twitter chat, our eSocial chat, after today's call, and I'm happy to engage with you there. But today we're just going to transition from finding the need to filling the void. So once you find the need that your residents or prospects or buyers or sellers or essentially your entire audience might have, we need to fill the void, which is the gap between the consumer and the fulfillment of that need. So filling in the space between that need and the satisfaction and the fulfillment of that need. So filling the void can be done in a variety of ways, and we're going to kind of go over a few of them right now. How about something as simple as answering everyday questions? I mean, who would have thought that taking 5 to 10 minutes out of your time or out of your day to answer questions about, do I need to go with a new build or a resale or, a community that is resale? Do I need to go with an up-and-coming neighborhood where we're not quite sure what the market's like? Or do I need to look for a place to live in an established neighborhood? How many bed and baths do I need? What's more important? Am I more attracted to being in the suburbs, in the city, or am I looking for a more rural type of life? How important is proximity to work? How much is square footage in my market? So this is really going to speak to not only real estate agents, but property managers that need to answer these questions as well. What I think would be a great thing for you to do is if you just decided to answer one question a day on your Facebook page, right? So you can either do that through your social management tool, or you can, and that way you can answer all these questions at one time, but you can schedule them to go out into the future each week. So that way you're sparsing that information out, but you're not having to kind of really pour blood, sweat, and tears over it every week because you did it all at one time. By the way, if you are wanting to learn more about our social management tool for rent, or even with the Homes.com social product, please get in touch with either your For Rent or your Homes rep, and they can point you in the right direction. But it's a great tool to utilize if, say, you want to do a quick, 300 answer or less every week on Facebook, where you're answering important questions for renters or buyers or sellers. Make sure that you're utilizing Facebook for this, and that way you're going to get a lot of viral activity out of that in more shelf life than you would anywhere else, because actually people can share and comment and like that content. Another great, well, this is the first app I'm actually going to share with you guys. That's a very helpful app. But for those of you in property management who are looking for ways to go paperless, Rent Payment Mobile is a great tool to utilize if you're not doing it already. And this is really going to speak to that mobile consumer who overwhelmingly is going to be conducting business, entertainment, from their mobile phone. It's always on them. They're always connected to it. It's not going anywhere, and so you might as well embrace it. And that's why this app has been created to help you create and conduct online transactions, essentially. Another great way that you can inject help and value into your strategy is establishing yourself as the local expert. What we have in our new social management tool is going to pull any information happening, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I know Sam, you're on the call here, it's going to pull any information, whether it be local events, um, festivals, Groupons, living social deals, so any coupons, events, or deals going on in your neighborhood within a 25-mile radius of your geographic location. How cool is that? So just because you're not quite sure how to establish yourself as a local expert, that can be a daunting thing. So that's why we've created this tool to help you be able to safeguard yourself from being embarrassed or not serving up the correct information. We're doing that for you that you can just repurpose on your own. Another great way to save time, money, and inject value is by going paperless. So if you've ever thought about doing some type of option where people can sign a lease online and your first interaction with them is when you physically hand them the keys to that apartment, guess how much time that saved you? And guess how much headache and, gas and everything that saved that prospect, so that now when they're actually a resident, it's just time to move in. That's a great idea. DocuSign is another great tool that is going to add value and save time for your clients, especially for you real estate agents out there. This is going to allow a renter or buyer or seller to electronically sign up virtually every time they need to sign a document, or and for virtually every type of document, if that's the case. And this was developed for folks in the military, I believe, who couldn't physically sign a copy of any type of documentation. So assume that there's someone in Afghanistan that needs to sign a document. So this is what, and Kelly, this is a great question. Kelly asked, but how do we know it's them signing? Great question. So what it does is, and I know from experience because I actually just bought a home, and my husband, who happens to be in the military, so he's in the Navy, was actually in a different state than I was at the time that we were buying our home, and during the home buying process and negotiations and going back and forth. And I'm sure if you know what the process is like when you're going back and forth with the buyer and seller, it's grueling, right? And you're having to print out and fax and do all this stuff. DocuSign, everything was web-based. It was amazing. So what my agent did, and by the way, she was in a different state too. So we're all in 3 different states. I mean, the closest that one of us are to one another is maybe 3.5 hours. So we were so incredibly dependent on DocuSign. And what this is, and it can be for real estate, it can be for really any type of contract or anything that you need to be signed. What they'll do is they'll send that document, so they'll load a PDF into DocuSign, your agent will, and or the property manager will, and they'll send it to the person who needs to be signing. They'll send it to their email address. So every time I got a new addendum, or every time the sellers kicked back and wanted us to scratch this, or they said that they were taking so-and-so ceiling fan, and we had to sign next to all of those little detailed, meticulous lines, I would get an email emailed to me, where then through that one email, I could click into the PDF, and what you see here is you type your full name and your initials, so that wherever it asks, please sign full name, you can do that. And the cool thing is it also gives you different fonts to use. I wasn't too picky about that. I just wanted to sign it and get over with. But again, this is a great opportunity if you're wanting to move in a more direction where you're injecting value in the form of saving trees, or saving time, or saving money. DocuSign is a great option to be able to utilize for that. Any real estate agents out there who use DocuSign, or has anyone on today's webinar use DocuSign. I'd love to see what your thoughts were with that. I know with my experience, I absolutely had no issues and I loved it. And props to the person who invented DocuSign. It's a great, great tool. Here's another great app that you can use to inject value, and this is something that you can really just share with any, and this is more specific to the real estate side just because this is a thermostat that really interacts with you via your mobile device. And I'm not quite sure on the property side if something like this would be allowed in an apartment community just because I'm sure they cannot tamper with, they can't tamper with their thermostat or anything in an apartment community. Thanks, Becky. AEs use them in our market all the time. I believe she's talking about DocuSign. But going back to Nest, this is really great for real estate, especially if you're catering to a market that's a super socially savvy market. They're all into the newest tech things, and they're wanting to try out everything before everyone else is. Nest is it's actually developed by an Apple executive who has since left Apple, but he was the creator of the iPod, and he was essentially an innovator within that team before he left. And he was building a home near Lake Tahoe. And so take the combination of I'm building my own home plus, an innovator who knows how attached people are going to become since the inception of the iPod, which he was dead on the money with that. So marry those two ideas together, and he started to think of another major project, which was building an energy efficient dream home near Lake Tahoe, but not just that, essentially having a smart house that conserved energy but created a conversation where he was able to access almost everything from his smart device. So Command Central was with him in the back of his pocket at all times. And so this is where you can control your thermostat from your smartphone, and you're able to turn on display. You can set your temperature at a certain time and have it be on a timer. It will share with you your current temperature. So it's just a great tool overall. And that's called Nest. But this is really great for you agents who have a client that's just wanting the newer, bigger stuff and better stuff. Nest is a great app to suggest that they use to inject more convenience into their lifestyle. Another cool app that I'm going to share is called Lockatron. And Lockatron is, again, used through an intuitive app, and this is where you can instantly share access with your friends and family members if you should choose. So this would be in the case where, if you had a roommate and both of you guys needed to control the locks on the door, it would essentially tell you the last person who locked or unlocked the door. Another cool thing is it sends you prompts just like you would get as a text message, but it's going to update the app and tell you when the front door was locked or when the back door was locked or unlocked, which is really cool. It's also going to help you keep tabs on your home if you're not there. And the cool thing is that if you're wanting to, say, invite someone over, like a close friend or family member, or you have a partner or a spouse who is wanting to be able to keep tabs, you can actually share this app with your friends and family. And that way, once they get all the information, they're able to have similar permissions that you do. All you have to do is enter their email address and their phone number, and Lockatron will take care of the rest. Guess what? You're thinking that it's only for real estate, but that's not the case. Lockatron works for renters as well because Lockatron fits over the inside of your current deadbolt. So great question, Kelly. In order for this to lock, do you need a certain type of brand of lock? No, you don't. You just need it to fit over your deadbolt, and from there, Lockatron takes it from there, and you can even take it when you leave or when you move. So this is really great for both real estate and multifamily. And I always try to find things like this so that you can share this with your clients and be like, listen, no one else knows this but me. You know, these are always great little tidbits that you can share and just make yourself kind of the expert in anything local or anything tech that's going to touch our industry. And when I saw this, that, oh, Lockatron's a great app, you can even share it with your family and friends that are living with you. And then I saw the added bonus where you can pop it on top of a deadbolt and then move it whenever you're ready to go. I mean, how cool is that? That's so, so neat. All right, so if you didn't think that these tech time and value injecting apps got any better, what better way than through the stomach, right? So this is an app called Range, and it's actually like a little interactive thermostat. If you see here, this is for water-based cooking, and this is for like heat-based cooking. So cooking that's happening on a skillet or anything like that. So this one is just waterproof, whereas this one, I believe, is just can withstand other type of temperatures. But Range, which is a product derived by Super Mechanical, has a 3-inch sharp tip that can slip right into meat, and that is the Ember range. So there's an Ember range and an Aqua range, and it comes in this cool packaging, which looks like, you know, when you buy meat from the market, it comes in this kind of styrofoam packaging and this information, but it's actually the product itself. So talk about innovation. That's so, so cool. So yeah, you can use this kind of neat tool that will essentially share information about the food that you're cooking in real time. It's going to tell you the exact temperature. It's going to really give you insights into your food. So again, this Aqua Range is a 6-inch round tip. So this one is 3 inches and it's sharp, or that you can puncture your food a little bit better. But the Aqua Range is a 6-inch round tip that can reach into your best pot without scratching it. So that's really cool. That's really nice too, where you don't have to worry about your cooking ware getting messed up. Another cool tool that was created by Super Mechanical is Twine. And Twine is going to be essentially your fixer-upper, your handyman, all in a little hand-sized, palm-sized device. And this is going to alert you of any small problems before they become big problems. Becky says, making my Christmas list here. I hear ya. So these are all tools that I'm definitely going to ask for birthday, Christmas, Easter, I mean, St. Patrick's. Give me a holiday. I'm asking for one of these cool little tidbits and devices. Super funny. But you can set up your Wi-Fi, and all you have to do is pop in some AAA batteries into this device, and it lasts up to 3 months, and you can drop Twine anywhere. You want to monitor temperature. It's gonna feed back temps to you. Anything with your HVAC, it's going to tell you if your garage door is open or not. It's going to tell you the conditions in which if it's dry or wet. I mean, how cool is that? And then it'll tell you all via, you know, an app on your smartphone or on your smart device. Essentially everything going on within your living space. So again, this is going to speak to both real estate and multifamily. Probably, you know, you could do more with this with the real estate side, especially if you're wanting to get a little bit more in depth with just like little things like vibration or orientation or temperatures, things like that. But it's still going to help an apartment dweller as well. So again, you guys, it would be great if you ever said, all right, I'm just going to kind of go out on a limb here and start sharing some things that are a little bit outside of the box, but once you kind of get knowledge base on these things, you're like, how did I ever live without it? I honestly feel, you guys, that twine and the cooking device and Locatron, all of these Nest, all of these things range. These are going to be great things that we're going to start implementing into our everyday lives. And I know that people are afraid of just kind of essentially living in a smart house or a smart apartment, but I really feel like that's the direction that we're moving to. And again, it's all about injecting information and value. And I mean, talk about time savings. This is going to not only help you save time, but it's going to save you an arm and a leg if you get a leak and you didn't know about it. Twine can tell you that. In addition to helpful apps, when you're wanting to fill that void or answer that need, and the cool thing is when you're wanting to promote your new listings, whether they be new property floor plans or whether they be homes for sale or for rent, you can actually bring the tour to them. Not everyone has the opportunity to physically go out to a property or to a home these days as much as they used to. But what we had a gentleman do here was his name is David Greenlees. And what David Greenlees did was he actually created a flyer and tweeted in advance about an open house that he was having. And at that open house, he created a tweet up, which is essentially what we're having. We're just not physically in one location. We're just having a Twitter chat. But he actually told people that were coming to the open house to tweet about the house using hashtag #GolfAnyone. And he was able to sell his property and get it off the market. And guess what? In addition to that, he was able to repurpose that content because he came up with this bright idea to host a tweet up at his open house. So if you're ever thinking about that, if you're on the property management side and maybe you have a new property that your property management company has just acquired, ask them to host a tweet up during that event and see how many tweets and responses and retweets that you're going to get. Another great way that you can bring the tour to your residents and prospects, injecting value and saving them time, is by tweeting around a certain property if you're on the property management side. So this is an example of the Guilford which is a property under Bazzuto, which is a huge property management company doing great things with social these days. And they left no detail out during a tweet tour of one of their newer properties. Again, it's called the Guilford. And this is a great approach to work around the prospect who says, well, I just don't have time to check out a property right now. And they keep putting off that lease signing process. How about you speed up the process and you bring the tour to them? So now they can feel as though they've walked through every room and they've seen every aspect from their smart device. So they did, if you can see this here, grill in our cute courtyard, view from the rooftop pool. Now for the apartment, huge bedroom, showing their state-of-the-art gym. Great, great ways to promote amenities, to show your brand's best side, but also inject convenience into your prospects and your residents' lifestyle. So those are just some things that I want to really just give you a springboard for, because I mean I could go all day long, but guess what? People are still in FIFA World Cup mode. People are just all over the place right now, and I don't want to overwhelm you at all. So I think I would just wanted to share with you some great apps that you can share with your residents, prospects, buyers, and sellers. Something that you might want to utilize yourself. Also, tweet tours that's a great way to inject convenience and time savings into the lifestyle. Answering those questions, those super easy to answer questions once a week. Make your Facebook page a local hub of information where you're sharing out hot topics in the industry. So I want you to walk away feeling like you can be more socially helpful when you are encountering and interacting with your audience online. And I hope that I helped you achieve that goal. And I would love to keep in contact with you. If you have any questions on anything, please let me know. And I would be happy to get on the horn and we can just even brainstorm some ideas to help you become more socially helpful. So I have some valuable links to share with you, and what we're going to do right now is I'm going to share these with you via the chat. So let me open that here. And while you guys are taking these down, I'm going to send them to you just so that you have them. And again, you know, if you weren't able to get it, or if you weren't able to write any of these things down, you will be getting a follow-up email, and you will be getting all of these links in that follow-up email in addition with the recording as well. So don't fret if you're not able to write all this information down. You will be getting that in the next couple of days as a follow-up. So if you have any questions, I am happy to answer them for you. I am going to wait for our Twitter winner to come in. Apparently the dog broke my phone he did more damage than I thought he did, because I am not able to find, I'm trying to get in touch with our eSocial chat administrator who is going to send me the winner. So if I'm not able to get it to you today, please just let me, I'll send it to you as a follow-up as well. But again, guys, I would love for you to implement this type of information into your marketing strategy. I think it's so easy to utilize and to implement, and you know, it just takes a little bit of thinking outside of the box. Hooray! I've made contact. Thank you, Alyssa. Our eSocial Chat winner of the huge $20 gift card is going to be Mrs. D. Putman. I hope I pronounced that right. MRS D. Putman. Yes, I believe I did. Mrs. D. Putman, if you are on the Twitter chat right now, congratulations, and please DM us your information, your snail mail, your mailing info, and that way we will shoot that thing right in the mail to you, and you'll be able to spend that big money of $20. I'm going to hang out with you guys a little bit longer to see if you have any questions. Happy to answer those for you. If not, you are free to go, and I appreciate your time. And have a great weekend, everyone. I'm going to hang out a little bit longer. Take care.